Using an Epson or other type of scanner. If you're not using an Epson scanner, some of the terminology and displays may be different, but the suggested process will be the same. Scanning is typically a two-part process. The first part is formatting the image, which involves cropping the image, selecting the amount of dots per inch, and specifying the target or output size of the scanned image. The second part of the scanning process is to enhance and improve the quality of the scan. The optimal process to format the scan. After you have started your scanner, the first step is to make sure that you are in the professional mode. Next, do a preview scan. And now you're ready to start formatting your image. Select Reflective, Scanner Glass, and Photo. Even though this photo doesn't look like it, it has some pretty decent resolution. So I'm going to set my DPI up to 300 dots per inch. The next and probably the most important step is to select the crop box. So I don't want any of the border in this image in my crop section. So I'm going to left click, drag to the bottom right, and then release my mouse. And you can see that I have now cropped out the border of the photo, which allows the scanner to make a better guess at optimizing this scan. The next step is to determine how large I would like my scan to be. I encourage you to consider using your scanner as an enlarger. So the area that I have cropped is shown in the document size as 4.5 by 3.5 inches. I want to change this to a 10 by 8 size because this picture is in a landscape format or horizontal. So the little trick is to come over and say I want the width to be, highlight, and type in 10. Now don't type in 8 over here because it will force the scan then to be 10 by 8 inches exactly. We want a proportional size so nothing is distorted. So the trick is to just click with your mouse and you can see that it has calculated the size to be 7.96, which will give us a nice proportionally sized image. Don't worry about remembering all of these steps because you can review each step in the tutorial. The next step is to begin photo enhancement. I always try this option of color restoration first because it often gives some really dramatic results. So I'm going to click and you can see it looks a whole lot better already. Now there's a lot more that we can do with this photo with regard to enhancement. First let's go in and see if we can improve the brightness and contrast. So I will drag this slider to the right and you can see already we have a much better looking image. And do even a little bit more, and I can do the mid-range or different settings by dragging these little sliders up here till I get an image that I like. Now this was sepia tone, so it's okay that it has a brown tint to it. Okay, this option will allow me to do a little bit with saturation. So I can decrease or increase it by dragging this. A little more brightness and contrast if I choose, and move this slider. So you can see there's a lot you can do with these options. The last step is to scan the image. You can always preview the scan and start over if you don't like your result. So I will click Scan to finalize and save what I've done. Next you should decide where your scan will be saved. I'd suggest a sort or scan folder in your computer where you can easily find it. You could also create or open a collection in Heritage Collector or a sort collection where you want the scans to be saved. One of the advantages of using Heritage Collector when you're scanning is it gives you an option to add a caption, a description, and to add a historical date, which is the date that the photo was actually taken instead of the date it was scanned. And then I can select to save it as a ping so that I could do more enhancement later if I choose to. If I had scanned this sideways, because it would be a big image, I could then come in and click the rotate button and get it the way it needs to be, all in one step. And then I could select the collection that I would like this image stored in so that I could find it later, and it will assist with my becoming organized as I scan. So the last step is to click the Save button so it will go into the collection that I have selected or into a new collection. This video is part of the Easier Scanning for Better Results tutorial. Other Navigator tutorials are available to help you. Please visit our website to learn more. Go to heritagecollector.com/navigators.